How am I supposed to find the slope of the graph? There's no numbers here. What am I supposed to do? Well, let me show you. Slope is just the steepness of a graph. So in this case, this graph is really steep, right? If you were thinking of this like a mountain, this would be pretty tough to climb up. So this would have a high slope. And this would be an example of a low slope. This is relatively flat. It's pretty easy to climb up, so this would be a low slope. And finally, this would be a slope of 1. So if you have a perfectly diagonal line like this, that would be a slope of 1. Anything that's less steep than that would be less than 1, and anything more steep would be more than 1. So how do we find the slope of a graph like this? How do we find the exact number for the slope? Well, in past videos, I've talked about the slope formula, which you can use. This formula works to find slope in any case, even if you can't see the graph. But when you can see the graph like this and you need to find the slope, there's actually a faster way than we can do it. It's the same thing as the y2 minus y1 thing, but it's a little bit easier to understand. And you've probably heard of it before. Slope is equal to rise over run. So what does that even mean? Well, here's our graph, right? We want to figure out how much it rises and how much it runs, and then we put those into this fraction, and you'll get the slope. So first we need to pick any 2 points on this graph. I would recommend picking points that are in the corners of these little boxes, like right here, because if you pick something like over here, then you're going to be getting like fractions or decimals or whatever, and that's really complicated. So this one is a nice even number. It's in the corner of these boxes. And another great point to pick is the one right here in the middle, because that's going to be 0 and 0 right in the middle. So now we need to figure out how much it rises and how much it runs. Well, to get from this point to this point, it needs to rise 1, 2 squares. So the rise is 2, and it needs to run 1, 2, 3 squares. So the run is 3. So to find our slope, we just need to plug in rise and run. The rise in this case was 2, and the run in this case was 3. So that's it. Our final slope is 2 over 3. What about this graph? How do we find the slope of this graph? You may notice that in this case, it's actually going down. And whenever the slope is going down, the slope is going to be a negative number. So let's pick 2 points that are nice even numbers. I like this one and this one. It really doesn't matter which ones you pick. You could have picked this one or this one. It doesn't matter. So let's find out how much it rises and how much it runs. The rise, or in this case, it's actually going to be falling. 1, 2. So when it's falling, that means it rose a negative amount. So this went 2 boxes, but the rise is going to be -2 because it went down. And the graph runs 1, 2 squares. So the run is going to be 2. So let's go ahead and plug this into our equation. Slope is -2 for the rise over 2 for the run. So now all we need to do is divide. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And we have a negative sign, so we'll put the negative sign here. And that's it. Our slope in this case is -1. So what about this graph? What I'd like you to do is pause the video, try to figure out the slope yourself, and then unpause and see if you got it right. So we're going to do this the same way as before. We're going to pick out 2 points that are nice even numbers. Let's go with right here and right here. So now we need to figure out how much it rises and runs. In this case, it's falling instead of rising again, so we're going to have a negative rise. So it only falls down 1 square. So that's going to be -1 for the rise. And now how much does it run? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. So our run is going to be 4. So now we just plug this into our equation. Slope is rise -1 over run, which is 4. And that's it. Our final answer is -1/4. Here's one more example. Go ahead and pause the video and try it yourself. All right, so let's pick out 2 points. I like this one and this one. Why not? First, we need to figure out the rise. The rise in this case is going to be 1, 2, 3. So our rise is 3. And our run is just 1. So we're going to put 1. So now we need to figure out rise over run. Our rise is 3, and our run is 1. And 3 divided by 1 is 3. So our final slope is 3. And that makes sense because this is a pretty steep graph. So that wasn't so bad, was it? Just keep practicing rise over run and finding slope won't be a bother for you anymore. But finding slope is just one part of the equation of a line because you also need to find y-intercept and things like that to be able to write the full equation of a line. Well, how do you do that? Well, I explain it in this video right here. And as always, you can leave a comment if you're confused about anything, and I'll be happy to help. Thanks for watching.